Welcome back to Zach's Tool Shop. My name is Zach Ciota, and as you see, I have the Skil stuff right here in front of me. For those of you who listen as a podcast, can't see the Skil stuff, so I'm going to describe it real quick. I have a Skil impact driver. These are the Pwrcore 20 lithiums, 2 amp hour battery with a USB port on the back of it, which we'll talk about in a second. I have an oscillating tool, which is one of their 12 volt products, Pwrcore 12. Really easy to take that blade off. I really like that. We have a jigsaw right here, the most disappointing product of the bunch, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. It does say brushless. All these products are brushless tools. We have a regular drill, just a standard drill here, and we have a right angle impact driver as well, something I didn't use very much at all, and that's probably the biggest downside to reviewing something like this is because I really didn't have any instances where I really needed it. I forced myself to use it a few times, but I found out something interesting about this product, which we're going to talk about in a second too. Skil sent me these products, but before we get into these products, I want to talk about something that I learned about through my buddy Joe Shearer. I have a buddy Joe Shearer who does HVAC, which is what I did for a long time. Joe sent Justin and I a text, and in that text, he gave us a link to a great tool deal from this guy named, and let me see if I get Tool Boss on YouTube. And I don't watch a whole lot of tool videos on YouTube, ironically. I'm trying to start doing that more so I can learn about the newer stuff out there because I love tools. I've always loved tools, but I've always been the kind of guy who's like, I'm around the house, I get what I need, and I don't really pay attention to what's coming out. So I'm trying to pay attention to what's coming out now. Tool Boss had a great deal on Milwaukee products that he found at Home Depot. And the interesting thing was, it was at one particular store in California. So he puts this thing online. So I'm like, I'm going to check this out. I love tools. I want to see what's going on here. So it was the Milwaukee brushless product. It was M12. It was brushless. It was a fuel product. It had the impact driver. It had a drill, and you get a free gift, and there's a couple batteries too. But the impact driver kit with the drill, impact, and the batteries and the charger was on sale for $179, which is a pretty good price for that stuff. But also you got a free tool to go with it. And if you got the ratchet, M12 ratchet, which is what I ended up selecting, it's like a $150 tool. So really you're getting like, let's see, $229 is a regular price of that kit. Then you add $150, you're up to, with tax, a little bit over $400. We're right at $400. So for $179, you get $400 worth of stuff. So I ran to my computer. It didn't work the first time I tried it, and I did it again. And that stuff is on order. And the ratchet, I think, is actually going to be here. By the time this show airs, I might have already gotten it. But it'll be here on Saturday. I'm filming this on Friday. So it could be here already, which I'm very excited about. I know a ratchet tool may not be something that I use a lot just like this 90-degree Skil impact driver. But I want to branch out a little bit, get some stuff. I've never had a powered ratchet before. It might be a gimmick, I don't know, but I look forward to testing it out and seeing what it's all about. So I kind of had to restrain myself because after I watched a Tool Boss video, I'm like, hey, there's probably deals like this everywhere. You just got to find them. Like this deal was just in one store in California. It's like Newhall, I think was the store in California. So once I found it, I was like, there's probably more. So I looked around, and there were some good deals on Home Depot. There's a lot of this free tool stuff, which I never heard of. It's like you buy this, you get a free tool, and you get to pick which one. So there's a lot of batteries you can pick. It's really, really good. In fact, one of these deals was in the store in Wilmington not too long ago where you could get the 2 6-amp-hour batteries from M12 batteries, and then you get a free tool with that too, which I wanted to get the light. There's like this $180 light. I was like, I'm going to make the most bang for my buck. I'm going to get the little tripod light, but they were all out of that, so I ended up getting something else. It was a circular saw, and that thing is actually really awesome, so I'm glad that I got that because that's something I'm going to use a whole lot. And that saw cuts better than the 18-volt Ryobi saw that I have. It's an M12 fuel saw, the one that I bought. So I'm pretty excited about that. Pretty excited to have this this wave of tools heading my way. It's awesome. But let's talk about the previous wave of tools that I got last year. Skil was actually good enough to send this stuff to me, by and large. Some of this stuff I owned already. Some of the stuff they sent to me. It's a combination of both. I want to say that I own this drill. I'm not positive. It's been a while, and it's irrelevant because I review them the same way, so it doesn't matter. So we have, like I said, jigsaw, oscillating tool, right angle impact driver, regular impact driver, and drill. So let's talk about the highs and lows of this whole group right here. So the highs of this group, by far, I love the oscillating tool. It is I think it's 6 speeds if I remember correctly, if I go through them real quick. It is 6-speed oscillating tool. There's an on-off switch. There's a lever on it. It makes it very easy to change out blades. You just take that, and the blades come right off. Well, the blades come right off as I take it off. So that's really, really awesome. I love that. I've used this a whole lot, cutting moldings and trimming them around objects. I used this when I was notching the rafters for the room you see me in right now. If you're watching on YouTube, the rafters that come through the ceiling are 2x6s. I had to notch them to sit on the top plate of the building, which is the wall right behind me, all 4 walls. So I use this to notch them every time. It did really, really, really great. I love this tool. I love it enough that I would probably purchase this tool, but I'm going to be honest with you. I've used a handful of oscillating tools in my life, and most of them, if not all of them, besides this one, was corded. So I need to compare this oscillating tool with other cordless oscillating tools, and I will do that. And one of those will probably be the M12 oscillating tool because, you know what? I'm going M12 right now, so I want to check it out. If you're watching the video, you can see that some of these batteries, the 12 here and the 20, this one doesn't have it, but the other one has it. Let me hold it up for those of you who are watching. These Pwrcore lithium batteries, you can see here on the end that there is a power button and a USB, so you can actually like charge your phone and stuff with this battery. At first I said, oh man, this is cool, this is neat. But in the end, this turned out to be kind of a gimmick because you can't do anything like with the Ryobi power source with the USBs on it. You can't do anything like that with it. You can't power lights. Like I have, not the studio lights that are in here now, but I have these little plug-in ring lights, and you can't power those with this thing. It'll trip offline. There's like an overload inside here. And plus, these are both 2 amp hour batteries, and one of them is much larger than the other one. So if you are doing a lot of work, if you have a drill just like this one and you have to screw stuff in above your head constantly, a little bit of weight on a battery makes a big difference on your shoulder and arm and shoulder blade. It really does make a big difference, especially when there's a lot of repetition. Now, I don't think these tools like Skil in general are used by professionals, tradesmen, that's their occupation to use tools, but they're more of like a midline brand, which I kind of compared them with Ryobi, but my Ryobi impact driver kind of put this other one to shame versus the Pwrcore 20 impact driver. The Ryobi kind of spanked its butt. So I don't know if you would even say that they're equivalent to Ryobi. It might be a little bit lower than Ryobi. And this is a brushless one, so it's supposed to be more powerful, and I put it up against a Ryobi brushed model. So the fact that a Ryobi still spanked its butt is kind of a shame, because I'm sure the Ryobi brushed model would have then spanked the brushed model's butt, which we'll find out because we'll buy them all eventually. They're not powerful, is what I'm getting at. They're not powerful tools. The drills, when you engage the trigger, there's like a momentary delay sometimes. Let me see if I can do it right now. Right now, it won't appear at all. Yeah, that doesn't look like it appears at all here. Let me try the impact driver, because there is a little bit of a delay. And to me, it's not like the end of the world, but it's kind of annoying. Yeah, it's like you pull the trigger, and then a second later, it engages. It's not like a second, it's like a tenth of a second. So it's not a big deal. But just for some reason, it really annoyed me. I don't know. So now that we've gotten to know some of these tools, let me tell you why the jigsaw is the worst. So the jigsaw was okay. It's not powerful. It has that same little delay thing to me. It's something that bothers me. I don't think anyone else in the world notices this stuff, but it bothered me for some reason. I don't know why. But a few months into using this, it just stopped working randomly. The light started flashing. The little light that illuminates whenever you're working, it started flashing. I tried to look up on the internet. I didn't see anything about it. I didn't pursue it a whole lot because when this happened, I'm working on a project. I can't just stop there. So I switch over to a different jigsaw. Now I have a Ryobi jigsaw that's battery powered. I think I actually have another Ryobi jigsaw that is corded as well that I just never use because I stick with battery tools. So after that, it would work intermittently. So that's why that one failed the test. It was just one of those things where, people say maybe you got a dud, but it did work at the beginning and just stopped working. So that was kind of a thumbs down fail. So across the board here, would I buy Skil stuff? If I went to the store now, would I be seriously considering Skil tools as far as a combo kit or a particular battery tool? Right now, I'd say no. I wouldn't consider that because I think there's better options that cost either less or and have an equivalent cost. My Ryobi stuff, even the brush stuff, because it was more powerful than this anyway, and you say, well, these motors last longer. Well, this one died after 3 months, so not exactly lasted longer either. There can be an overall quality issue, even though theoretically the brushless motor is more powerful and lasts longer. Doesn't mean that they're going to put a more powerful motor in this thing. Meaning that you could have a brushed motor that's more powerful than a brushless motor because, they don't have to put equivalent size motors in here. And what I mean is they don't have to put something in there that's more powerful. They can step it down a little bit, which is maybe what they did. I'm not sure. Maybe there's something in the gear housing that's different. I don't know. I don't typically take these apart. There's other channels that do that. I just use the stuff, and then I kind of get an opinion about it, and I try to put the stuff up against each other. Like, I will be putting this right angle impact driver up against some of the other impact drivers because reading through the literature, different right angle impact drivers. I looked at Milwaukee. I looked at a few other ones. 12 volt or 18 volt. This one had more torque. The Skil had more torque than all of them, which I find very hard to believe. It said it had 900 inch-pounds of torque compared to Milwaukee's was like 600. Some of the other ones were like 675. No one was close to 900. So to me, I'm like kind of curious about that. I want to put this thing up against some of the right angle impact drivers to see if that was, a load, because that seems like that would be absolutely untrue. I have a few of these actually written down here. The M18 right angle is 675 inch-pounds. The Milwaukee M12 is 600 inch-pounds. Well, I thought was pretty impressive for M12. The Makita 18 is 530 inch-pounds. And with all that, the Skil's 900? Something's not jiving here, guys. That doesn't seem... Maybe that's the RPM. Probably not, though. It should be higher than that. Now I'm all curious about the RPM of this thing. Well, I'm going to have to test that one because that seems like a load of the K-Wrap. Try to see if there's anything else on here I want to tell you guys about them. The cost of these tools was decent. They're not expensive tools, but still for equivalent cost, I think you can probably do better. The drill had a little bit less RPM than some other drills on low speed. High speed seemed to be pretty much in line with some of the other drills. 1,800 RPMs on high speed, 480 RPMs on low speed. A couple positives that I see out of this is there's a power jump charger that rapidly charges the battery for a few minutes to give you some juice if you have a project that's going on like right now. That was pretty cool. A little fan engages on that so the charger doesn't overheat. It does charge up to 25% within a few minutes, and then it charges the rest of the way at a slower pace. I thought that was pretty good. I think the battery life, I have 2 amp hour batteries they sent me, and I think the battery life is pretty good. I think it's decent, so no complaints there. So the biggest positive of this bunch is going to be the oscillating tool. It's the biggest thumbs up. I really, really enjoyed using that. The biggest negative of the bunch is a jigsaw because it broke prematurely, and everything else was just, that's the best way I could say it. It was like, all right, okay. Nothing different than or better than Hart tools as far as I can see. Just a nice middle-of-the-road Black & Decker town. That's where they live, Black & Decker town. The land where nothing's special, everything's That's pretty much what I think about this load of tools. I am grateful they sent these out. And I'm not unappreciative that they did so, but a fair appraisal is important, and there were good, but there was a lot of bad as well. And that is the lowdown on these Pwrcore tools that I received last year, from the great to the not so great. So I mentioned Hart a little bit earlier, and this is a shop blower that I purchased from Walmart a few days ago. I went into Walmart, and it appears that they're getting rid of some of their old Hart line, whether it be brushed stuff or what. I'm not sure what the idea is, but several of the items, the brushed tools, were on sale. This Hart blower, it didn't come with a battery, was on sale for $39.99, I think, and typically it's around $59. So I thought it was a pretty good deal. We actually needed something to clean off our porches And we have a ramp for my mother-in-law because she's elderly. She needs something for wheelchair. So it's a great way to kind of clean that stuff off. It would be good for an actual shop blower. But in my shop, I have a Ryobi like leaf blower, the 18-volt leaf blower, which neither one of these are really super for actual yard work. They're just not powerful enough. But for the shop, and because of the size, it is so small and lightweight, it's really a pretty good deal. And I don't need anything super special because, I mean, I'm not going to buy like $100 or $150 tool-only shop blower to put up in my house so my wife can blow leaves off the porch. It just doesn't make any sense. And well, just to let you know, this piece comes off. We have a rubber boot on the front with a nozzle, kind of directs the flow of the air. We have a variable speed slide, so you can change the speed at which the fan blows. I typically leave it on maximum all the time. That's just the way I live my life, on maximum all the time. Well, that sounded great, didn't it? I could do better than that, though, guys. Check this out. I live my life on maximum all the time. Okay, that should be much, much better like that and much more dramatic. So this is pretty cool. Just a little tool purchase this week. The big thing is I'm waiting for those Milwaukee brushless M12 drill impact, and then another ratchet, or not another one, my first powered ratchet. I have plenty of ratchets back there, but none of them are powered. So I'll be interested to see how powerful it is. I think the one I looked at online, I don't know if it's the same one, but it had like 35 inch-pounds of torque. So it's not a whole lot of torque. So it's not going to be breaking free any bolts that I've been on sitting in the yard on farm equipment. That's not going to happen. But I will be curious to see what it can do. If it's an assist or just a novelty that doesn't really do anything. So I'll keep you guys apprised of that. Maybe we can talk about that next week after all that stuff comes in. As always, if you want me to try to search out any tools within my financial means, I will. As time goes by, the show might get a little bit bigger, and maybe we can do a little bit bigger tools. But for right now, it's really 100% my budget. Even though these Skil tools were sent to me from Skil, that's the only time I've ever had power tools sent to me like that. And I think Skil was just asleep at the wheel. They just click send. Said, okay, you want to check how many followers he has? No, just send him tools. That's how that happened right there. But hopefully one day, we'll see. The trouble with doing that is when someone sends you out a tool and you give it the honest opinion, like the Skil people probably wish I would have said something better about this. I just said I said what I felt about them, which that's what they say to do. They said give us an honest review. And I think that part of that's because just getting the name out there, even if it's not the most positive review, is still an overall marketing positive because you do remember the name. Even if you don't quite remember what the guy said about it, you do remember the name. So I'm sure that's the method that they've used. But would they ever send me anything else if they watched that review? Well, maybe not. I don't know. It's all the tools I can afford, basically. That's what I'm getting at here, guys. It's all the tools that I can afford to do. If you have something that you'd really like to see, like whenever the new Impact gets here next week, we'll put that M12 Impact against the old brushed model. We'll put it up against the 18 and 20 volt models that I have. I just like to compare all the stuff. There was a lot of people on the internet whenever I compared the 12 to the 18 to the 20 that were like, hey, you can't compare a 12 to an 18 and 20. And I think the idea was those are different numbers, so you can't compare them. Even though the 18 beat the 20, I bet this Milwaukee M12 fuel impact driver might beat some 18s. I'm just comparing what I have. That's what I'm trying to say here. I just compare what I have, and you can take it for what it's worth. But don't be so emotional about it. It's going to be okay. It'll be all right. 12 might lose. It's just the way it is. I've had a lot of fun on the internet the last few days. I'm going to record a podcast coming up here real soon talking about some of the internet stuff and how people say anything they want on the internet because there's no accountability. You're not sitting face to face with anybody. I've noticed that when I've seen people on the internet and then I've talked to them either on the phone or in person, it's like a whole different person because you have, I think all your evil comes out when you're online because there is no accountability. And I had a lot of fun over the weekend just answering comments on my Shop Talk channel, HVAC Shop Talk, and the Tools channel about people just having problems with the tiniest thing in the world. Complaining. Everybody's got a better way. And you know what? When dealing with that stuff, like I'm going to say on the other podcast, I mean, just hear people out because maybe they do have a better way. But sometimes you just got to let it ride and just listen to it like, oh, yeah, you're the best. That's true. It's the best thing to do. You know, don't start trouble because there's no point to it. But it's just kind of funny how people will do like that. And I'm hoping that this speech right here prevents all that from happening in the future. Probably not going to happen. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Skil Tools here from A to Z. Everything that I have anyway. New Hart blower like that. We'll continue using that stuff. I'll update you guys when the ratchet comes in and the other drills come in. And we'll do a little bit of comparison stuff. And until then, I mean, work safely, work hard, and my favorite thing, work heartily for the Lord and not for men. I'm going to take that from John. John, I don't know if you watch this or not, but I stole your line. Well, you know, it's God's line. So John stole it from the Bible. I stole it from John. So it sounds really bad when we say it like that. All right, guys. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.